Hey guys, it's OctoBinx here and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different and I am doing a speed build, which is essentially a crossover between two EA games that I really love. So it's a Sims build, but it is a Plants vs. Zombies inspired build. So maybe you have not played the Plants vs. Zombies games, but basically Plants vs. Zombies is another EA game, which is like a player versus player shooter game, and they have had a couple of different versions of it, and I've only really gotten into Garden Warfare, the original one, and recently this year I got into the Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. So I was really inspired by the art style that the game has, the Plants vs. Zombie game, and the art style of The Sims, because there are similarities between the two. And I'm not sure if this is because they are the same company, that it's a certain image that they have to have, but I really thought it would fit into a sort of speed build. So they have different like neighborhoods in Plants vs. Zombies that you sort of battle in, and I was really inspired by some of the ones that I've played in and figured it would be really cool to try and recreate something like that in The Sims. So this build is by no means an exact replica of what you get in the Plants vs. Zombies games, but it is inspired by the aesthetic of, like, if you do know the Plants vs. Zombies games, like Daisy Drive, and there was another one in the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, another world that you played in. It was more like a graveyard site, and it had this big black mansion, like haunted mansion, and that's what I was inspired by for this. So maybe you don't really recognize this sort of dark build, because I know the zombies typically have like a sci-fi alien sort of vibe going, especially on the more recent games for Plants vs. Zombies. But yeah, so it was just a sort of inspired build that I decided to make. And I decided to build this in Strangerville. So Strangerville in the game was, for me, the natural choice for building this particular build, because with the whole sort of apocalyptic scenes that you get later with the mission that comes in the game, and you get that swirling purple stormy cloud that in the desert there, and I thought that's just so perfect for the whole vibe that I wanted to go for. I actually, when I started this lot, as you can see on the screen, I had the plants house, a plants inspired house on the side of the lot, which would have had this purple cloud in the background. So I actually ended up flipping the lot around so that if you're looking at the front of the zombie side of the property, if you're looking at that part of the build, behind it will be the sort of apocalyptic cloud that you get from Strangerville. So it's that sort of haunted, purple, dark, scary vibe on that side. And when you look at the plants house, which will eventually be on the other side of the lot, behind it is more the town of Strangerville and everything. So it looks a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more like human. So yeah, I do eventually flip the lot around. So what I decided to do with this build is I didn't want to make only a sort of team plants house or a team zombies house. I wanted to do one of each. So what I decided to do was to build them facing each other and have like a battleground essentially in between the two houses, which would be, if you think of the original PopCap game that you would get on your phone, your mobile phone, like sort of like the part where the plants and the zombies battle. So the zombies come for the sunflowers and the pea shooters, and they sort of battle it out. So that's what I decided to go for, is like sort of like neighbors that really don't get on. And I think it turned out pretty nicely. So there were a couple of things that I wanted to make sure I included in this build that are in both The Sims 4 and Plants vs. Zombies. So one of them is flamingos. Pink flamingos are just everywhere in the game. The other are sort of gnomes and chests, which we can get in The Sims. And the other one, which I decided to do, was actually create Penny. Now, Penny is the car that Dave drives in Plants vs. Zombies. Now, I made a sort of custom Penny, as you can see on the screen here, No, it doesn't look exactly like Penny, but it was fun to try and like make something with random debug objects that sort of vaguely resembled Penny. So I wanted to have Penny parked in the drive by the plant side of the house, and yeah, it was a little fun thing to do. What I actually did was shrink like the Strangerville car, you know, the one that has all the satellites and radios and stuff. I shrunk it and sort of lifted it above the original truck that I had, and then I put a caravan on top of it. So yeah, I tried to recreate something that looked sort of like Penny, to be parked by the plant side of the house. Now, I didn't know this because I didn't get to really play The Sims 3 when it was like being released and stuff, because I didn't have a computer that could handle the game. But apparently at one point there was some sort of update or something available in the Sims 3 store where you could, it was basically a proper collab between The Sims and Plants vs. Zombies, and you could get plants in the game, like sunflower plants that your Sims could take care of. So there was like a legit crossover between these two games at some point during the Sims 3 era, and I think that was really cool to find out. I didn't know that had happened. So that was kind of interesting because they are my two like most favorite games to date. But anyway, you can see here we are moving on to the zombie side of the property, and I am basically making it very graveyard-like. And I put like, there's this one, like, I think it's part of the art career, like a little hand that comes in decorative objects. It's like a little sculpture, and I decided to put it in the ground, like coming out of a grave, to make it look like there is a zombie sort of trying to escape from his resting place. So that was kind of fun. I didn't want to put them everywhere and overkill it, but I really, really thought it was a cool effect to do that. But other than that, I tried to make it very dark and dead, and it's hard because I wanted instinctively to put plants to make it look overgrown and like unkept, but you know, plants are the enemy. So I tried to just have dead trees, dead grass, dead vines on the wall. So that was kind of, I had to restrain myself a bit there because I wanted to make it sort of lush. I love landscaping. It's like one of my favorite things to do in The Sims. So I had to restrain myself a bit there and stick to sand and rocks and dead trees. This entire build was actually meant to be part of, like, I was going to do it for Halloween. That was the whole logic, because with zombies and stuff being sort of Halloween vibe, I thought that would be a good idea. So I started this already in October, and what happened is they did the creature creation challenge for Sparked, and I just dropped everything I was doing. All my projects I just stopped because I thought I need to do my opera machinima, which I had already, like, I started building for that like months ago. So I thought this is the opportunity to do the story that I had in mind. So I had to put this whole Plants vs. Zombies build on hold so I could do the Spark challenge. So it was kind of weird to come back to it after a while and like finish it. But I'm glad I did, because it was a lot of fun to sort of create this in the game. Now, this is where things get a bit more interesting, because I'm doing the interiors for both of the houses I have built. And the thing is with the Plants vs. Zombies game is you cannot go really into the houses. You just see the outside of the houses. So I had to sort of imagine what the inside of the interiors would look like. And initially I started with the zombie side of the property, and I thought, what is it going to look like inside? And I had started furnishing it initially with, you know, proper furniture. It looked furnished in the lounge and everything, and I thought, you know what, it should look like it's been abandoned for who knows how long. So because that whole world in Plants vs. Zombies, like, there are no humans, the zombies and plants have taken over. So I thought that didn't make sense to have everything still really intact. So I decided to use the controversial spooky stuff pack, and I went to town with it. I literally put a filter on for the stuff that came in that pack, and I used as much as I could. So these couches and sort of seats and tables and curtains that came with spooky stuff were actually perfect, because it looks like someone had covered the furniture, like, to keep it in good condition and like, left, abandoned the house, maybe with the hope of coming back, but it just stayed like this. And so it's become very run down and worn away and everything. So I decided to go with that vibe of like an abandoned house vibe, and sort of there are papers lying everywhere. So when I finished the interiors for really both of these builds, I decided to do the initial furnishing, so everything's initially finished, and then what I do, and I don't necessarily capture it on camera, is I come back at the end and I just littered the place with debug trash. Like, so there are papers all over the floor, and I even moved in a ghost into this property and got him to come, and he broke all the toilets and all the sinks. So there were puddles everywhere and things were broken, and so it looks a big mess. And I instinctively want things to look nice, and I'm sure it's the same for many sim players. You want your build to look nice and comfy, but I just went to town with this one and just made it look as bad as I could get it to look. So like the wallpapers are torn, and yeah, so that was kind of fun to create this sort of abandoned house for a change. Of course, it could be a fixer-upper and your Sims could come and make it look nice, but for this build, it was really trashed and needed a lot of work. So that's what I decided to do with this. And I do the same thing on the other side with the plants house. Also, it's sort of very trashed, and I used a lot of sort of the furniture that looks very out of date. And Eco Lifestyle was really good in this respect of like, they have that old vintage TV, those big bulky TVs. Like I used one of those in the living room, and I tried to use all the sort of like old out of date furniture that I could, because I thought it would fit the theme pretty well. So that is pretty much the zombies side of the property furnished and complete. Shortly I move across to the plant side, where I do finish their house. So it's a lot more 80s in feel, and a lot more sort of like, the colors are very vibrant. That's the one thing about Plants vs. Zombies and The Sims, is that the color schemes of like strong yellow and blue and red and green, like it's very primary colors. So I decided to go with that and sort of like color coded accordingly in that way. And I mentioned earlier how I added like lots of gnomes and chests, and it will come on the screen shortly. But I'll go into it a bit more. Basically, in the Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhood game, I don't know if it's the same for Garden Warfare 2, but you can basically collect gnomes as part of an achievement system. And so I thought it would be cute to put our little Sims gnomes all over the property, hiding in different nooks, so I put lots of gnomes, which you will see just now around. The other thing I did is you can collect chests in the game that either give you XP or coins to make whatever purchases in Plants vs. Zombies, and I thought it would be cool to use. We've got so many chests in the game. Actually, we have obviously the base game ones, but there's some chests that came with like vampires as well as island living. So I decided to use them, all the different types, and sort of scatter them across the property as if they were like hidden chests. So you could technically go with your sim and try and find all the different chests. I think there were 7 chests I put in the end, but I thought it was kind of cute to sort of nod towards Plants vs. Zombies and put those things into the game as well. Another reason I thought it would be so perfect to build in Strangerville was because of the, I hope this isn't a spoiler, but because of the mother plant and the little plants that spawn all over the world. I thought it made so much sense, like, because, with plants growing like super fast everywhere, I thought it would be good to do that. So there's also the whole mother plant thing. But aside from that, the fact we have like the cow plant, it's like the cow plant is one of the things I loved the most about The Sims. It's so unique, and I really love playing with the cow plant. So I didn't actually put one in this build. It kind of, I don't know why. I thought about doing it, but I didn't. But yeah, the cow plant and the mother plant are 2 sort of things that also sort of inspired me to do this sort of speed build, because it's super quirky. Also, there's the whole thing where your Sims get like hypnotized and they walk all funny. So that also makes total sense in terms of the Strangerville thing. Like, you know, they get possessed. So you can totally see the zombies, you know, having, or you could make Sims that look like zombies and have them be possessed. What you could do, like, this was part of the thinking with the 2 house on 1 property thing, is like you could have a Sim move in and then have a roommate, or you could even just designate 2 different Sims to live on either side of the property, and one could be possessed and dressed like a zombie and everything, and the other could be like Crazy Dave or something. And yeah, so Strangerville was really so perfect for this, and I'm so glad that I built this here. Strangerville will always be special for me though, in particular because the Sims in February, when they had their sort of birthday celebrations, they did have a sort of competition going, and for the competition I embroidered a plum bob onto a denim jacket of mine, and I sent like a copy of it in, like a photograph of it, and it actually won me a copy of whatever game I wanted. And I thought it was so cool, and I'd really wanted Strangerville for so long, and it was really nice because the Sims messaged me and said, what do you want? And they gave me a copy of Sims 4 Strangerville, which was really, really special. So Strangerville will always be special for me because of that. But anyway, I am now moving on to sort of more final details. You can see I'm putting gnomes down and chests and stuff. So this was when I was sort of putting the finer details on the build and in the battleground area and stuff. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that pretty much wraps up the build. So thank you for watching. If you have stayed till the end, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Are you a Sims player watching this video, or are you a Plants vs Zombies player who's sort of curious about the Sims? Do you play both? Let me know. So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will speak to you all again very soon. Until then, take care. Bye.